All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. I just want to make an announcement that Ty Tobbing, one of our board members, is on the phone. So he's involved in this. He's going to vote too. So any announcements, Mr. Houtman?
No.
No announcements. Is there anybody from the public that wants to talk not on anything that's on the agenda? None? Moving on. You all have a copy of the November 19th meeting minutes. Is there any additions, corrections? Get a motion?
I move to approve the minutes.
Approved.
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Oh.
Thanks, Ty.
All right.
You bet.
There's no new items to consider today. We're moving on. We're going to go into continuation of prior business. And first up, which I know no one is here to talk about, McDonald Golf Course. Mr. Houtman.
All right, so we've gone through the process in regards to sending out the request for proposal. We did get one bid, and we did present that to the review committee. The review committee had a chance to look at it last Tuesday and this past Saturday morning. We met at 7 a.m. to go through it. I think they have a presentation that they want to share when it comes to that part of the agenda. So that's about all I got to share for that, unless you guys have any specific questions or anything you want to know.
We'll wait till their conversation. Okay. Mr. Goder. When you come up to talk today, we need to come up to the podium. Make sure you state your name and address, please, for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Dale Goter. I live at 2625 West Cornellison, and I'm here with a group that we organized as a product of the discussion of the McDonald Golf Park sale. I'm going to share this presentation with two of my fellow members. We'll get it done in a timely fashion, Mr. Chairman, and you can, but I hope you'll accommodate us. I'd like to recognize the committee members we've worked with who are here today. They include Anthony Jenkins. Where's Anthony? Anthony is a board member of Wichita Golf Association, the men's group that orchestrates a lot of major tournaments in the community. Cindy Renard is right here. She's on the Golf Advisory Committee, has been very active in the CLAP discussion over the years. Nancy Knopp is another member of the Women's Golf Association. She cannot be here till a little bit later. George Kolb, our former city manager, who's the president of the McAdams Golf Group that plays at McDonald Park. Long history of minority involvement at McDonald Park, and we're happy to have him in our group. Rick Navarro, who is the son of Augie Navarro, the legendary golf pro at Sim Park. Rick organizes an annual tournament, the Augie Navarro Memorial. He's raised $250,000 for junior golf for the last few years and is very knowledgeable about golf. Rod Hoover, who's a fellow player with me at the senior group at McDonald, is another member of our committee. With that, I'm going to ask Cindy to make a preparatory statement. I'll take you through the PowerPoint, and George will give you a final recommendation, if that's okay with you, sir.
Yep.
Hello, I'm Cindy Renard, 1110 Royal Road. I would like to thank the Park Board for giving us this time today to present. Before Dale gets started, I would like to say a few things about golf in Wichita. As you know, presently we have 5 unique courses, and they all have 5 unique markets. And they're positioned well in the 4 corners of the city and the city center. And all of these courses work together as one, as spokes in a wheel, and they all support one another. And along with supporting each other, they also are the cornerstones to the neighborhoods surrounding them. And they have been throughout our city's history. I think it's the common goal of both the citizens of Wichita and the park board to be good stewards of our parklands. I think we can all agree on that. But this is where the ad hoc committee comes in. We are concerned citizens and golfers who care about the future and viability of golf in Wichita. We want golf to succeed. We feel now is the time to take the steps to ensure quality golf for generations to come. Wichita has the opportunity with the First Tee program and the Wichita Junior Golf to grow the game exponentially. With the learning complex at MAC, and yes, with LW Clap, the east side of Wichita could become the breeding ground for the next generation of golfers. We are only 3 short years away from the start of these young golfers hitting our courses as high schoolers. Thousands of youth will be part of these programs. So now is the time to plan for the future. We need to explore our options at building our golf system to accommodate and welcome not only the upcoming youth, but golfers of all ages. The one thing that has been clear from the past year of turmoil within the golf division, with talks of closure and sales of our courses, is that there needs to be a change, a big change. We can no longer afford our current model. That's why the ad hoc committee is advocating to engage an outside entity to provide an independent and unbiased evaluation of our system and our operation, and to look at the options to enable our system to flourish. So from here, I will turn it over to Dale to expound on these ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Just quickly, the reason we're here, the reason our committee is here is because this idea came forward. If you weren't talking about selling McDonald Park, I'd be playing golf today. So I'm kind of bitter about that, but I'll live with that. But that is the thing that got our attention, that things are so bad that we're thinking about selling one of our primary assets. That's a dramatic move. To me, it's kind of like a mother selling one of her children to feed the rest of the family. It's just, it's too hard for us to accept. That's why we're here. All righty. I'll take you quickly through this. We get right to the point. The point is we want the park board to take a lead in advocating for a quality golf system. We need some people with some authority and some status to do that and join us in that endeavor. We all want the same goal. We all want a good golf system. So we met and talked about how did we get here? Well, there's a recognition that the current golf system is unsustainable. I think that's fairly clear from where we are today. There was a golf sustainability study, but it failed to identify any reasonable solutions to this point. Rounds of golf are decreasing, although there's a reason for optimism, as Cindy noted with the youth golf programs. Revenue is declining, expenses are certainly increasing, and the quality of McDonald Park and Clap has definitely declined over the last few years, and that's been a contributing factor. So that's part of why this has got to our attention. Where we are, we're looking at a management model that we think is flawed. It's a top-down model. The golf professionals at the respective courses, their skills and talents, we don't think are being fully utilized to benefit the system. The pros, we think, need to be empowered to responsibly operate their courses. There really aren't any incentives that we can see for the course pros to promote their facilities. They're kind of operating in a little bit of a vacuum. We don't see a clear evaluation process to measure the effectiveness of course operations and profitability. And we don't see that the pros have performance objectives or incentives. The objectives should be to improve each golf course, but each course is different and requires unique strategies. A little bit more in that line, 60% of the enterprise fund goes to administrative costs. We understand there are costs, but the questions are they excessive or appropriate? Are there unrealistic demands on the enterprise fund to pay debt? Of course, the big one is the $5 million at Auburn Hills, which we would make the point Auburn Hills has contributed so many tax dollars to the city of Wichita, far beyond its expectations, that $5 million debt almost seems inconsequential. We don't think the marketing strategies have been particularly effective, and we'd like to see that addressed. A few points of consideration that just amplify this as well. We think there needs to be a lot greater interaction with the golfing public. Leagues, tournaments, home and away activities, regional golf activities, interacting with the communities around us, and a much more proactive promotion of social golf. That's me playing with you. It's not people going out by themselves. We think social golf is the key to expanding the number of rounds that are played at our courses. We think a better customer-friendly environment would help. That's been an ongoing discussion in the city of Wichita for as long as I've followed it, that customer service has always been a challenge. And I think good things have been done, but we think there's a room for improvement there as well. We think that you're budgeting to revenue, which is a phrase we've seen in some other analysis, which is a very limiting strategy. You're never really able to get progressive about investing in your courses. It's very reactive. Course conditions have to be improved. They have definitely declined over the past few years, and that needs to be specifically addressed. We think there may be some missed opportunities for increasing revenue. Concessions, options, the variety of options that are present at the snack bars and the retail elements at the clubs, and merchandising. So I'm going to, at this point, turn it over to George Kolb to tell you what our recommendations we've concluded that might be useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. I'm George Kolb, 13529 East Buckskin Court. You've listened to the previous presentations, and I don't think we're really telling you anything that you don't already know. And this is not a dispersion on the staff or anyone else who has participated in trying to solve the golf course's problems. But we think we're too close to it. And we need someone to come in with an objective point of view and give us a critique of your current management model, what it looks like, how it's operating, is it efficient, is it the best possible model that we can put together to operate the courses. I don't think this city has a vision of what golf is in this community. We have no objectives. We're willy-nilly trying to sell golf courses. First is Clap, then it's McDonald's. And we ought to take a more proactive, focused approach to delivering golf services in this community. The question cannot be answered appropriately. How many golf courses can this community support? And so what we're asking is that you bring in an outside organization who specializes in this, either the National Golf Foundation, the PGA, or some other consultant who can give you advice on the appropriate mix of courses, marketing, develop a strategic plan for the golf system so that it can get off to a good start. So going back to the slide, which I'm just kind of ad-libbing here, there needs to be a review and a critique of our current operating model. A strategic plan that has goals and objectives in terms of what the system can support needs to be developed. And then how do we actually implement a marketing plan that will attract more golfers, support our junior golfers in the community, and begin to create a future for our golf system? And I guess lastly, we want you to take this serious. We want you to take a look at it. Whatever the recommendations, if you come out of that independent study, you need to take a serious look at it and a serious try at implementing. We've tried it in the past, implemented some things, and it has not worked. We need someone else to take an outside look at it and tell us what we need to be doing. And I guess, Dale, we can answer questions or clear up any misunderstandings or whatever.
The bottom line is the same thing we said originally. We just want you, we think it'd be great for the park board to play this role in helping lead this effort in a different direction. So yeah, if there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that was everybody that needed to speak right there. Mr. Hendricks, Hopalong Hendricks. He also would be out golfing today, but he hurt himself. Golfing. This one. He said, well, he hurt himself on the golf course.
Good afternoon. My name is Troy Hendricks. I'm the golf manager for the city of Wichita. The Golf Advisory Committee, we met here a couple weeks ago and talked about kind of what our recommendation to the park board should probably be. The goal of the golf division is to provide high-quality golfing opportunities to every citizen, and provide golf at a cost that is of value for our patrons, and to provide excellent customer service and support the youth and seniors of our community. That's been our mission statement ever since I can remember, and it hasn't changed. That's what we continue to strive for on a daily basis. Public access to the game of golf. The city of Wichita has offered municipal golf for nearly 100 years to this community. Facilities are distributed throughout the metro area and meet the needs of our citizens. Facilities are open year-round. Courses offer a variety of designs, characteristics, and challenges. Currently, the city operates 5 exceptional golf courses: Auburn Hills, Arthur B. Sim, L.W. Clapp, McDonald, and Tex Consolver. The golf division's future was set on July 6th of this year, of 2018. At a special park board meeting, the motion was made and seconded to close L.W. Clapp at September 30th of 2018. That passed 4-3. This vote created a future 4-course system of McDonald, Arthur B. Sim, Tex Consolver, and Auburn Hills. These facilities would still be distributed throughout the metro area to meet the needs of the citizens of Wichita. This decision was not to create additional competition with the sale of McDonald Golf Course. The Golf Sustainability Study recommended closing of L.W. Clapp. The Golf Sustainability Study's recommendation was to the 4-course system. It improved our projected operating losses from being almost $600,000 projection for 2019 to being just over $33,000 for the system, which would be almost a $370,000 savings for the year. When the park board voted to close, this is what the understanding was based on the sustainability study and everything that was incorporated through it. We have multiple partnerships throughout the community. We've been in partnership with the Wichita Junior Golf Foundation since 1974. They've been working with the Park Board of Commissioners to bring affordable player development and youth programming to the city for the last 44 years. This has always been a verbal commitment. It has not been in writing, but the Park Board has allowed this organization to continue operating these programs at these golf courses. For the first year, the programs were held at McDonald, Arthur B. Sim, and Pawnee Prairie, which is now Tex Consolver. Courses have been added over the last 44 years: L.W. Clapp, WSU, Echo Hills, Hidden Lakes, Clearwater Greens, Pine Bay, Auburn Hills, and Sierra Hills. But over the past 44 years, some of those facilities have left the program. Currently, programming is only at the 5 City of Wichita municipal golf courses. In 2018, 530 juniors participated in this program. That's a 22% increase over 2017. The Golf Division will continue to meet the needs of the Wichita Junior Golf Foundation programming for the East Side citizens with the scheduled closing of L.W. Clapp. Even with this 22% growth, we still have capacity to take all those kids in at the program at McDonald Golf Course. With the closure of Clapp and the possible sale of McDonald, we do not have the ability to meet those needs now or in the future years for the Wichita Junior Golf Foundation. We continue to market for them. We handle all the registration through our website. We maintain their website. We now own it, and we do everything and update everything as they would like to see done for all their programming so that it's up and current and is up to date with everything they're doing. We also partnership with the Wichita, Goddard, Mays, and Bishop Carroll Catholic High Schools. Auburn Hills hosts Mays South and Bishop Carroll. Tex Consolver hosts Wichita Northwest, Eisenhower, and Goddard. Arthur B. Sims hosts West and North. McDonald hosts East and Heights. And with the scheduled closure of Clapp Golf Course, South High School will be moving over to McDonald. We also work with some of the independent schools and collegiate, if they have kids that are looking at playing golf that aren't able to play at some of the private clubs, they'll come and use our courses on some occasions. But with the potential sale of McDonald, we will not be able to meet the needs of these schools. We'll have 3 schools that we're going to have to figure out a place for either of them to go to, or we'll have to take the 3 schools that are not part of the city of Wichita and ask them to go away. So those are the things that we need to look at when we're looking at this possible sale of McDonald Golf Course, how it's going to affect all of our partnerships. We entered into a partnership in the last couple of years with the First Tee of Greater Wichita. It was the increased player development at McDonald and Tex Consolver. We created a public driving range on the east side at McDonald Golf Course, which will be opening hopefully this next spring or early fall. We are working with them to develop the next generation of golfers in our community. The First Tee Green Grass program reached over 240 juniors in 2018 with programs at Teradyne, McDonald, and Tex Consolver. So we are always looking for new partnerships and a way to grow the game in the city of Wichita so that the golf system will be sustainable in the future years. We've also worked with a company called Envision. Envision, we do programming at McDonald, started in 2014. In 2018, we hosted a clinic for 49 golfers who are blind or have vision impairment. We hosted them every Mondays at the golf course, and those guys and those ladies and kids, they had a fantastic time. This program is provided at no cost to Envision. The golf division subsidizes it, and we donate the facility to them for them to be able to do this programming. If McDonald were to go away from our system, then there's no place for them to do their programming in the future as well. Our biggest partner is the city of Wichita. They work with us when we needed to have golf carts. They helped provide funding of close to $1 million to purchase golf carts in 2017. We use the park department divisions, forestry, recreation. We do numerous things with them. They help us out when we need things, park maintenance, when we have McDonald Golf Course, for example. I don't know how many times we've had to repair the fence that we put up around there 4 years ago. How many times we've had cars drive through the fence and they leave. We have no way to get them fixed, but it still costs us $3,000, $4,000 each time we have to fix these fences. So we're able to use our in-house park maintenance staff that they repair those fences at a substantially less cost to us than it would be if we had a fence company that came out and did it. Forestry, they've come in when we have ice storms and a variety of different things, and they will come in and take down trees that are no longer alive or they're a detriment. They spent over at McDonald in 2017 approximately 16 weeks in there removing trees and cutting out dead limbs out of trees, taking down trees that were hollowed inside and rotted out. My estimate on the cost of that would have been around $180,000 to $200,000 for them to bring in a tree company to do that work. And they did it for us because we're part of the park department. We work with finance. Finance does all of our budgets for us. We work with the purchasing department when we need to purchase fertilizers and different things and chemicals. And we work with them on pretty much a daily basis on those type of things. We use the purchasing cards, which makes it much more convenient for our staff, our golf professionals, our superintendents. When they need to make purchases for their facilities, they have a purchasing card that they're able to buy those things, pay for it on the card. Everything comes in and it gets processed and then it goes through purchasing for final approvals. We work with human resources for posting jobs and taking care of all of our benefits and everything for our staff. And then, of course, we work with the law department when we have things that come up that we don't necessarily know the answers for. Elizabeth gets a phone call from me or an email, but somehow we come up with an answer. So, this is our biggest person that we work with in partnerships is the city of Wichita. And even though people believe that the city isn't there for us, they really are. Future plans, under the current pass system, we have 1,422 passes were sold in 2017. That generated about $285,000 in revenue. The co-pays that the pass holders paid generated right around $434,000 in revenue. Combined, that's a total of $720,000. That equates to about 28% of our revenue for the year. These pass holders generate about 38% of the rounds of golf that we have played at our golf courses. In 2019, we're going to propose a new fee structure that will generate approximately $216,000 of an additional income. which will then eliminate the co-pays for the season pass holders. They can come out and play at no cost. So if it's in the evening and they feel like they can come out and they maybe get 6 or 7 holes in, they can come out and do that, not feel like they're getting gypped by paying a co-pay fee. So that's one of our plans for in the future. We will continue to provide affordable golf to the public. We will continue to provide annual passes. We will continue to provide driving ranges and training facilities. We will continue to provide PGA professionals to provide affordable lessons. We will continue to offer the most player development programs in the area. We have the largest cart fleet in the area, and we will continue to offer multiple platforms of social engagement for golfers through our mobile app and our website. We're looking at, we met with the superintendents last week about developing some shorter tee systems at the city courses to accommodate those that feel like the red tees at our current facility, at the remaining 4 facilities are too long, so that we can make some shorter courses for those that want to move up and can play shorter course can. We want to look at continuing to figure out how we can capitalize in stormwater drainage for McDonald Golf Course so that we can get that golf course off of potable water. We want to continue to improve the course conditions at all the courses. Part of that is being done through conversion of the fairways from cool season grasses to warmer season grasses such as Bermuda. Continue to market player development programs. We see that as the future of growing the game. We want to enhance the player's experience through using our technology. Our mobile app is in the top 12 in the world for the company that develops it. They are the leading developer of mobile apps for golf courses, and we are in the top 12 that's most used in the world. We want to continue we're going to promote the Play 9 initiative, so for those that don't feel like they can get 18 in, we want them to know that anytime they want to come out, they can get 9 holes in at any time. At this time, I'll stand for questions. I won't hobble back over, I'll just hang out over here.
Any questions from the board? I have a question, Troy. So this recommendation still falls in line with the sustainability, which this board voted to close CLAP.
Correct.
I don't know that we have any control over CLAP. I mean, obviously we don't because it's still open, and so
obviously you guys have control over the land. That is land that you guys can sell if you wanted to, if that was a proposal. But at this point in time, I don't think that's anything that anybody suggested or is even an idea. You can definitely make recommendations to council and staff in regards to operations, and we take those into consideration and work those within our operational guidelines. So we try to make those situations happen. We definitely want to keep you very much involved and informed on all the operations. But you do not have control over our day-to-day operations. So.
I'm saying at CLAP. So what, 6 months ago we decided 4-3 to close CLAP, which according to the sustainability study and what Mr. Hendricks just presented again, by not having CLAP would put us in a whole lot better situation, which was the purpose of why we decided to close CLAP. But with no names mentioned, but was that changed?
So the direction that we received is continue forward with a master plan for CLAP, see what that will turn out to be, and then at that point in time, that should help dictate what the final decision of CLAP Golf Course will be. So as of now, we've met several times with a internal group of staff. We're going to be working on doing community engagement to deliver that message out to the public and kind of get some feedback from the public of what that green space could be. Would it be an additional park? Would it be amongst many, many other things? Could we put a splash pad there? Would it be a dog park? Could we have disc golf there? And so that's going to be the process that we're going to be looking at in the next 3 or 4 months. We have dates already scheduled. We have committees already set. So we're going to start putting that action and put that plan to action hopefully right after the new year. So once we have that, hopefully that'll answer a lot more questions.
Well, yeah, man. It still, like it did 6 months ago, still makes sense to close CLAP. Obviously, with the new change or opportunity or not opportunity with MAC, that changes a little bit, but.
Right.
So.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
On the agenda has you as Golf Advisory Committee / Troy Hendricks. Are you doing your report as the Golf Advisory Committee? You doing it as the Park Department? Are you liaison for the advisory committee?
I was
right
asked by the Golf Advisory Committee to make the presentation.
Okay, so you're not like the liaison. Because I have some pretty serious questions for them.
No.
Okay, all right.
Cindy's here if you want to ask.
When we get into discussion, I'll say my piece.
Well, is there any more discussion on this subject?
Well, thank you, Troy. I think this provides a clearer vision for the golf enterprise system moving forward, which I think is what we, as a park board, wanted. So thank you for your time and effort on this.
All right, moving on. The RFP Subcommittee.
Go ahead, Troy.
Very good. Well, I'll set it up for you. So, again, we received one bid. It was from Great Life Golf. And the bid, I'll go ahead and mention that what it was we received a bid for $850,000 for the sale of the golf course. There was some other items that were also included in regards to a percentage of the sale of any amenities that would happen to be put in place there, which really wasn't a huge number either. But they did come up with some other ideas in regards to putting in some new amenities, working with the neighborhood in regards to putting some other upgrades to the area. So we met last week on Tuesday, shared that information with the committee doing the research, and then we wanted to do some more discussion and some more thinking about it. So we actually finished the meeting at 7 o'clock. We met on Saturday at Botanica, and we finished about an hour and a half later. And so they did come up with a recommendation, and I'll let them share what that recommendation is.
Thanks, Troy. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody involved in this process, especially Mr. Houtman, Mr. Hendricks, Mr. Rigby, Ms. Walker, Bill, Alejo, Debbie, Corey, and Tom. And finally, to Great Life for seeing this process through. Based on the purchase price, the proposed improvements, the overall uncertainty of what this could mean for public golf in Wichita, and the strong desire to provide a quality product to the community, the selection committee unanimously recommends we reject the proposal to sell McDonald Golf Course and operate as a four-course golf enterprise system. We feel the golf system can be sustainable if we continue to improve our overall efficiency in terms of marketing and operations, make necessary capital improvements to entice golfers to play and stay, such as concessions and merchandise and all that good stuff, and improve communication between the Golf Advisory Committee, the Park Board, city staff, and council members. With the number of golfers in Wichita, we've felt that we would be directly competing for rounds and revenue if we accept this proposal. We also want to see how the migration of golfers from Clapp to McDonald will affect the sustainability of our golf system. I would also encourage those involved in the Clapp master plan to strongly consider a driving range and practice area to be utilized as a catalyst site for first tee, junior golf, and beginner level golfers of all ages to help them learn the nuances and etiquette of the game of golf. We need to come together as a united front and challenge all Wichitans to get out and play golf so that this system can be sustainable. And finally, we believe that the possibility of losing the relationship between the first tee and the city would be catastrophic. The first tee and junior golf are the future of golf, and we need to continue to nurture and cultivate those existing relationships so that we can thrive in the future.
Well, there you have it. Do we have to vote on their?
We have that. They're submitting a recommendation, and then we have to come up with our own motion on our end.
Would you like to make a motion?
I would actually, but I'd like to say I was going to prepare a statement, but I suck at preparing statements, so I like to wing things. So going through this process has been a little eye-opening, and unfortunately, Dale, you're in your group. Really, all you've done is solidify my personal opinion that we don't run golf courses very well, and somebody else could do it better, probably. With that being said, the golf system needs a lot more support than what it has. If we as a city, if the city says we want to support golf, then we need the people who have the authority to make allocations of funds stand up and say, we support golf. If they don't do that, I can't promise that we're going to have the same result next time. That's all there is to it. We do not have the authority to allocate funds for this stuff. We can make recommendations. That's basically it, right? So we need to have support by the city, and I would urge every single one of you that stood up and talked to us, I've said it last meeting and I'll say it again. You have 5 minutes. You can request 5 minutes to speak to the city council on any given Tuesday. Do that. They control the money. We don't. That's all there is to it. We have to take what's put in front of us, and we have to make decisions based on that. We can't allocate funds. I would like to say I'm a little disheartened with our Golf Advisory Committee. They are out there to help push us in the right direction, give us recommendations. They knew when we were closing CLAP that we needed a lot of changes to the golf system. They waited until the McDonald before they popped up and said, hey, well, let's do a master plan. That's not acceptable. The Golf Advisory Committee needs to step up, and they need to make their voices heard to us. We had a discussion, Golf Advisory Committee, you all have somebody on the park board who has appointed you. Please speak with them and tell them your opinions. Let us know, because if you're not talking to us, we don't know what your recommendations are very well. We're waiting on somebody to bring it back to us. So anyway, with all that being said, McDonald is an amazing asset to this city. Nobody here wants to lose that thing. I'd make a motion that we reject the offer, the RFP, and move forward as is with CLAP with the recommendations of the RFP committee.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Ty.
You're welcome.
Well,
This
unanimous vote to keep it. Did you hear that, Ty?
Yes, I did. Unfortunately, I got to peel off right now, so I just wanted to be a part of this first vote. So thank you for working with me to be included.
Thank you. Glad you could be here, or there, wherever you are. Okay, moving on then.
So we'll inform the bidders about the outcome. We'll let them know. We'll go through that process of letting them know. If there's any other follow-up questions, please let us know.
Okay.
Thank you. And thanks for working on this. One thing I do want to add, through a couple of these meetings, particularly this past Saturday and this past Tuesday, we've had some of the best discussions we've ever had about golf, and it was really impressive to share the table with 3 members from the Golf Advisory Committee and 3 members from the Park Board to really get to the facts and really get the right information. I think there's been a lot of misinformation and misinterpretation of some of the information or facts that are out there, and we were really able to sit down and talk through all of it and really have a good understanding of where the system is and where we want to go. So I think from here, this is only the foundation of where we need to go to make improvements for the golf system, and we're looking forward to doing that. Thanks.
Thank you. Cindy, you have a question?
The meeting before last with the GAC, we made a motion to you all about putting in that independent review body. The same recommendation the ad hoc committee proposed today. So I would like to encourage you to take that under consideration and act on that.
I mean, we take it under consideration. Of course, it costs money, but we'll.
Yes, but it would be money well spent.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more question. Is it standard protocol for the rest of the board to not receive the proposals if you're not on the selection committee?
So we could have provided those today if you wanted those. And if you still want those, we can provide those to you. But typically, once the subcommittee meets, you work with those folks and they make the presentation, they bring it forward. And that's typically what we do within the city operations.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
No more discussion. Thank you, Dale. What's up?
Follow up to Cindy's question, would you recommend that we take our recommendation pursuing an independent study and go to the council?
That's absolutely where we have to start.
So the park board does not, they're kind of turning down our overture to help us.
Because they don't have the money.
I agree 100% that we need to be advocates. We don't get to make budget decisions. We don't allocate funds.
If we had your
to make
endorsement of the
that.
idea, it would be useful going to the council to say the park board agrees that that's the path you should go. Your golf advisory committee made that recommendation So you're either
We
going to...
made that recommendation 6 months ago when we decided to close CLAP that we needed to do a study.
This is, we haven't,
This
we
is
weren't there
6
then. This is
months
our-
later. We've kind of handed it off to the city. It's kind of up to the city council to handle it. Correct?
Well, then we need to get a champion of the council.
So what we're working on is basically focused on CLAP. I think what you're talking about was really focused on CLAP and getting community engagement about what, not necessarily a complete study, but a engagement of what we can do at CLAP. And then coming up with an outcome for that particular piece of property.
You know, I think Dale's saying that we need that to happen for the golf system as a whole, that they're looking for an outside third party to come in and evaluate and make recommendations and you know, basically audit the system. That's what, am I correct? And then, yes. So, which, again, there's going to be funds that have to be allocated to make that happen. We don't get to allocate funds. We'd love to see that happen. Is anybody here not think that shouldn't happen?
I mean, we can make a recommendation.
Yeah.
Well, you can make a motion, a recommendation.
Do we know how much roughly that would cost to have someone come in and do that?
Didn't you get numbers on that once before it was investigated?
It was a couple, almost a year ago. And it was just a quick phone call. We're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 to $100,000. It just depends on how in depth they want to get. Yep.
With the National Golf Foundation, I just talked with Ed Getherall about a month ago, and he estimated $25,000 to $45,000, depending on the in-depth report.
So we can make a recommendation then. Someone would like to make that motion or that recommendation.
So moved.
Well, moved
What's
on
your
what?
Your
That
recommendation
we
is
accept an outside review,
independent study.
an independent outside review.
Except for that we recommend.
We recommend. Can I get a second? Is there a second?
Or what is it, that we're recommending an outside review? Is that what we're?
We're recommending, yeah. Excuse me.
Do you want to endorse their whole recommend, endorse all of what they recommend, or just the outside review?
Well, I don't know that, the biggest issue with all of their study is the independent study.
Yeah,
We need to get that.
I think you uncover anything else through the use of an outside study.
Right.
So if the motion is to recommend an outside study of the Gulf system, I'd second that motion.
Okay, thank you.
Motion and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sorry, Ty, you didn't get in this vote.
Does that get formally presented to the council now, is that process?
It would get formally presented to the council now, yep.
We will be there to support you in that.
I hope so.
Please, yeah.
So it'll be
Please
placed into the
publicize.
minutes, and then from the minutes, we'll share that with the council.
And then they'll tell us when, or if they'll consider it.
May I ask
any
a
more
question?
discussion? Huh?
Could we be informed of the time frame of when that's going to be presented so that maybe we could be there to help support?
You'll know when we know.
Okay.
Probably only by an agenda on the park board or something. I mean, I don't know that we'll get.
Okay, we'll keep a
special-
lookout for it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sorry. We don't
Okay.
get it, we don't know until it's
Thank you.
time.
The council agenda is public as well, so you can go online and check it for each meeting.
Okay, any more discussion?
No, sir.
No. Moving on then. Thank you all for coming. And if we are still conducting a meeting, so if you're leaving, leave quietly.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, guys.
Oh, after? There's nobody. Oh, there's nobody. They all went up there. Bylaws.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we keep moving on? Because you're up. I know. Yeah, I guess not.
Sorry to disappoint.
So nice.
Wow. She's still embarrassed by 4:30.
Told you if you just let me make a motion like right off the bat.
I have to let people do their stuff, jeez.
I said, can you just let me make a motion now? We'll finish this, and then we can just be done. We can go straight through it.
Okay, so we're gonna finish the meeting.
I still don't like
Gee, even the media left.
Thank you. Whatever you want. No, I mean, I don't know that there's much.
It's just our normal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, Troy wants to get up and give his some more golf
Penny, you
updates.
get a stuff
Reggie didn't get an
for
update us last time. Reggie's been to all these meetings.
You want your update?
Yeah, we're gonna do the bylaws.
Bylaws and then decide.
All right. Okay, you're back on.
Bylaws. I sent out, with your 10-day lead time as required by your bylaws that exist now, the proposed bylaws. I sent both a clean copy of it and what we call a delineated copy that shows you what is changed. It's got strike through for language that's omitted, underlining for new language. I incorporated everything that you all asked for at the last meeting, and I don't know if you want me to go through it. I can. It's basically...
Does she need to go through it? Everybody read it?
Yeah. We're changing the time of elections because of the appointment change. And the only thing that I did not secure from you, we talked about whether you wanted to keep a nominating committee, and you did. And I did not ask you by what month that nominating committee should be appointed. I took what was in the current bylaws. I believe we have a 3-month lead time. And I just applied that to the new day, the new month, and so
I think
that's
that's
what's in
what,
there.
yeah, I think that was what our intentions were, to keep that time frame.
So I realized I had forgotten to ask that question when I got back up to my office, and I thought, well, you know, I'll just do what's been working. And so the nominating committee will be appointed in April, and I'm sorry, it's 2 months now. You only have 2 months. You used to have 3, and then you'll present your office, your slate of officers at your June meeting and have your election. So, with that, I need a vote to approve them.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
One other thing,
Oh, no, you can't do it after we vote.
Well, no, by your bylaws, these have to go to the city council and be
Oh.
approved, so I can't. I imagine that they will approve them, but they'll show past today's date, and then,
If you just give it to them just before their meeting, it'll be fine.
thank you.
I think the vice mayor likes a little bit more extra time to review those.
Did you get those, Mr. Vice Mayor?
I didn't know he was still
We'll get you
here.
a copy right now so you can have them for city council. Okay, well, because we spent so much time on golf over the last quite a few meetings, it'd be nice to just be done talking about golf for a little bit. And I'd make a motion that we adjourn this meeting. Be done. We don't need to, sorry, Reggie. Sorry, Troy. We've heard these reports. We've seen the round reports. We've talked golf. If anybody has an objection, say it now. If you're going to cry over it, don't cry after the meeting.
The only thing I'd ask is if there was going to be anything presented on Pawnee Prairie Park or aquatics.
No and no.
Oh.
Just update on Pawnee Prairie. Do you want to?
No changes?
We do have, we're trying to implement the signage program. So we're working to get our kiosk signage prepared, what the rules are going to be, what the signage is going to look like. So if you go through your presentation there, you can see the changes that we're talking about. So we're getting very close to getting the bike trail done. They completed the lower loop. Now we're working on the west side of the park where the bike path goes up towards the north end of the park. And so once they get that completed, they will start putting in all the signage and everything. And so I guess the report is that we're getting a little closer to getting the project done. Weather will impede the finishing of the bike path if we have any more weather, you know. We were going to talk about signage, and it's all in the presentation there if you want to take a look at it. Answer questions, Troy's got ideas on that, and then we just need to implement the start.
I've had numerous inquiries, and I don't know why. Does anybody else get any inquiries about Pony Prairie?
The signage, the bike
Did we take down all the signage already?
No, we've had some vandalism. We went out and put some signage out that said, you know, the equestrian trails are not open to any kind of bike usage. And so we put no bikes allowed. We had these fiberglass delineators out there. We also had some other signs that they got taken down. So we were trying to replace those. We also put some signage out at the main entrances to the park that says, please be respectful. You know, we haven't opened up the bike path yet. It's not ready for bike usage yet. But we're having bikes in the park, and we're having questions using the bike trail already and stuff. And so the quicker we get the trails done, we can get all the signage out. It should help alleviate all that. We might even have to patrol it for a while, you know, to get control of this situation. So
one of the biggest issues has been the vandalism. We did a really huge effort to make sure we had really good signage out there, and next thing you know, we found all of our restrictions on bicycle signage have been torn apart and all over the place. And we're finding some of the equestrian folks riding their horses on the paved area already. So I think the biggest step is going to have to be a lot of education. Kind of what Dave was talking about, we might have to have some folks out there to actually spend some time out there teaching and showing people what's going on. We have to use our social media reach to get to them as well. We wanted to go to the DAB and talk to the folks at the DAB and let them know what's going on, but that's been postponed. But as soon as we get all the signage in and everything's in place, we really want to hit on some educational efforts on how to use the park.
Plus, we can do some programming, you know, going out there and saying, hey, we're having a walk or a run or something. This is the area you use. And then we have an equestrian event, and we invite them to come out. This is the area you guys get to use. You have a bicycle event. This is the area you get to use. So we might have some programming opportunities that will help us do that educational piece on how to use Pony Prairie Farm. So it's going to take a while to get it all going. It's just like we can't just do it like right now, you know. So it's going to just kind of get phased in, I think.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Any other part you want to hear about?
Nope.
Are you sure about that? Aquatics, there's nothing new on aquatics, right?
All right, so a little bit of an update on aquatics. So a few months back, we did a presentation to the council. It was a workshop, and we presented 3 options. One option was going to be upgrade of 4 swimming pools and adding 8 splash pads. Option number 2 was to have 1 giant water park and then have somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 splash pads. The last option was to upgrade 6 swimming pools and operate 6 swimming pools and establish 6 splash pads. So from that, we are getting a little bit more information about option number 3, about what those 6 pools would look like. The majority of those dollars are going into the operations of the mechanics of the swimming pool, so the pumps, the filtration system, the disinfectant system, all the upgrades that need to happen to meet ADA code. So that's going to take the majority of the dollars. And then from that, we're going to add some other amenities to those swimming pools. So we're hoping to get that all together after Christmas, make some presentations to the city manager and council, and then sometime probably in February or March, take it to the park board as well as all the DABs. And we want to make sure everybody knows what the options are, and then we take it to council so they can vote on it. That could be April or May. It keeps adding on, but staff is working diligently to make this happen. And hopefully from that, we have some direction of exactly what we need to do and how to do it.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Reggie, I'm not going to leave you out now.
Well, a couple of things that are going on that's happening in the web division. October was a real busy month with a lot of the fall fun festivals and things that we did at great turnout for several of those events. Edgewater had one of the bigger ones, had over 5,000 people that were out in partnership with the hospital and volunteer support there on site. So that was a really successful event that we had. Woodard Rec Center had a new event this year that they did, a cheer showcase for all of the football team. Cheerleading squad came on site and had an opportunity to kind of show what they did, and the community came out. It's a fundraiser for the center to help offset some of the scholarships that we offer for kids who want to participate in programs there. And we just had, of course, Night with Santa that just came up that was really successful, had over 2,000 people out for that. We incorporate some entertainment this year where some of the groups in the community that participated in our rec centers performed. Had a singer that was there. Also incorporated the mascots that were there for police, fire, as well as hockey and Parks and Rec. So the event, we're going to be looking at doing some changes leading into next year for that. And real active, finished out the summer well. Athletics did really well this year. Had some large events that we did during the summer. Had one of our largest softball tournaments that was this year. Probably had close to 80 teams that came out for it. Had people coming from as far as the Oklahoma, Kansas City area that came in for the event. So we're looking at starting some new things after the first of the year as well that we'll be talking about in the near future.
Very cool. OJ Watson's on here, but how is that Polar Express? I know that I thought maybe you were
Sold out.
Really?
And they actually had to add several extra shifts and opportunities for people to. There was a waiting list, and we tried to accommodate that waiting list. But yeah, it's been big. It's been a great hit.
You reported that's what I was wondering. So it's sold out?
Yeah.
That is fantastic. That's pretty cool. Cool. Well, Mr. Hendricks, do you want to talk? I mean, we're not going to leave anybody else out. We'll just leave Mr. Houtman out. I didn't get that.
In front of you there.
Oh, yeah, me.
If you look at the numbers, rounded down 8%. Year to date, if you recall, at the end of May last year, we were down like 15-16%. Our revenue is down 7%. Our expenditures are also down 7%. Net income is much better than it was last year. Big difference there is that it's not 78% calculated. We have already made all of our debt service, all of our internal services payments to the city have been made, other than to fleet, IT, and everything else in
How do we start the conversation with Mr. Houtman about the debt service for Auburn Hills?
So I think staff has made that recommendation several times going up, whether it's been at budget time, whether it's been discussions in regards to what we want the golf system to look like in the future, what our vision is. I think to note, we've talked about this before, we have not made a debt payment the past 2 years. And what happens is that it just extends it, just like
Sure.
You're paying your house. If you end up not paying your house, not just penalties, but it extends the amount of time that you're going to have to pay. Fortunately, we're not paying interest, which was some bad misinformation that keeps going out there. We don't get penalties. So it's just a matter of when we're going to pay it, how long that takes. To relieve us of that debt would be huge. Helps us with $250,000, $300,000 a year to replace equipment, do other things as well. It's not going to break us. It's not going to be the most horrible thing in the world, but it's something that we would really like to have. We've shared that with the city manager. We've shared that with our finance folks, and we share it every year at budget. To echo what you were talking about is I don't get it to control that. It's not my decision to make. That decision is actually made at the council level, and I think they're aware of it. Maybe they need to be more aware of it. Maybe there's a greater discussion to have with council and the city manager on this topic. What are the consequences, one way or the other, unintended consequences of relieving the debt? Because apparently there's folks that are depending on that $5 million to be infused in other CIP projects. So, so I think either we have a meeting with the council members, the city manager, and finance. You guys are more than willing to share that with them as well. But we've done what we can from our perspective going up the staff ladder.
How could we find out what the property was purchased for, and then what the property, I mean, I know you could go do this on the county website and try to figure it out, but you guys probably have better access to it. What all those sites had sold for, what's the economic, or not the economic, but what's the impact, financial impact to all those homes that have been sold? Because I'm pretty confident that the money that the city has made probably way outweighs the debt that's left, but
so we've shared that information with the Golf Advisory Committee. We've had at least 4 or 5 different meetings with that topic. We've had Mr. Manning come and explain that, what his perspective is on the debt, on the expenses that it took to build the golf course, what are the economic impacts. And some of that stuff is speculative in regards to whose opinion that you want to look at. So if you want to have a meeting with Mr. Manning, we can definitely set that, and you can hear that perspective as well. But I think we've shared that many times with the Golf Advisory Committee. So it's not anything that's new information that we can do a workshop with the park board on that as well. So.
But just, I mean, it's like the Golf Advisory Committee. I mean, they have these conversations year after year after year. We talk about how we don't have, well, we have this debt that we have to continue to pay. Though we're not paying it, I understand that. But as soon as, if CLAP closes and if McDonald does what it does, so it starts to make money, but now the city's gonna want their debt service payments. So we're still not gonna put any money back into our golf courses. We're still gonna have this conversation in
that's why I keep saying
a year or 2 years, because
that's why I keep saying it's not about changing from Coke to Pepsi. It's not about serving popcorn in the lobby. It's not about changing the furniture. We need to come up with a way that's going to give us revenues, not just an extra $100,000 here or there, but millions. Or we need to find, if we're going to talk about this quality of life issue, how can some of those quality of life initiatives and dollars go back into the golf courses? But also into the swimming pools, into the rec centers, into the parks, into the library. I mean, there's a lot of different needs that are out there. So I think we're taking some steps to make the golf course fund sustainable, but there's still a lot to do. Now, to a certain degree, I agree with the Golf Advisory Committee and the ad hoc committee is that there's certain people that, how should I rephrase this? There's certain opportunities that we cannot take advantage of at this point in time. And we share those frustrations and we share that with staff going up the ladder. But if we're giving a certain directive, continue to pay the debt service, well, that's the directive that I'm giving. I can't change that.
You gonna hug him? No. Oh, I thought you were gonna give him a hug. Well, I think we need to do something.
No, didn't bring donuts.
You know, I don't know if that's a park board function. I think the conversation has to keep happening because, I mean, the only way this golf committee is, or this system is gonna ever amount to anything is if we start putting money back into it. Mm-hmm. Certainly, if CLAP closes and if McDonald, that's certainly the right direction, I would think.
Well, I said earlier that the city needs to stand up and say, we support the golf system and we want to have golf in Wichita, and this would certainly be one way to do it.
Well, and it's going to take us in the Golf Advisory Committee, and I mean, you guys have tried, from the 11th floor, but I mean, it's going to take more, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but it would seem to me like, I mean, we're even appointed by, and by God, if the plane went down with all the city council, we'd be in charge. So we need to take it. We need to get up there,
That's a horrifying thought.
But is that to the city manager, do you think, or is that to our city council member first?
Well, I think it's a couple different ways of being strategic about it, but also being diplomatic about it as well.
Sure.
There's certain things that if you're pounding on the front door and kicking and screaming, that's not going to get us anywhere. And I think it's having some really good discussions. And this goes back to the comment I made earlier. Our meeting on Tuesday, our meeting on Saturday, we really learned a lot. There was a lot of great information, and I think the group that was in there was very interested in learning about all the ins and outs. It wasn't necessarily the passionate plea and the crying on the shoulder situation and the interruptions over and over and over again, or distorting the facts or misleading information. But having a sit-down conversation, I think, with the city manager, with Mr. Manning from the budget office, and maybe a couple council members to sit down and talk about this. And we definitely have all the information. We've shared the facts over and over and over again.
So I don't know that this board has seen the facts, what you were saying.
And like I mentioned, we can do a presentation. We can also do a workshop and share all the information that we gave to the Golf Advisory Committee. We'd be happy to share it with you all as well.
Well, I would like to ask that our next meeting in January that we get this information, so it's factual information of what the sales were, what the purchase was, so we could take factual information to talk to, whether that be the city manager, whoever. I mean, we can decide that, but I don't know that this board, I haven't seen it, but that doesn't mean anything. But certainly having those facts could go a long way. You may show us those facts and be like, there's no way on God's green earth they're going to forgive this money. Too. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But if that could be provided to us at our next meeting, would be.
There's a lot of information out there in regards to what happened and how the debt came into place. And I think that's some really good information that we've shared with the Golf Advisory Committee. You sat down through it and heard it. We could have Mr. Manning do that. Now, in regards to what the value is that keeps coming up of the repayment of the golf course, that's really subjective, and it just depends on people's personal view on some of that stuff. And that's something I think you need to hear both sides to have a better understanding of it. And again, we can share that information. So.
Well, you say both sides, but who's both sides? The city and the city?
No.
The city and the Gulf?
Opinions from folks like Mr. Shordorf, or opinions from Mr. Ferris about why the debt should be forgiven. As well as Mr. Goder had that same one of his bullet points that he talked about today, and you can hear the opinion from the other side from the budget office of what that actually means.
Well, I think just in my opinion, you guys speak up, but I think getting us that information first, then we can kind of figure out. I appreciate Mr. Goder, I appreciate Mr. Ferris. All those guys have great opinions. And that certainly they have great wordsmithing too. I'm trying to say that correctly on which way to lean, and certainly we appreciate Mark and that too. But I think it'd be beneficial for us to look at it and kind of have our own conversations about it, and then decide who to talk to. I mean, there's a pretty smart board. Down there. They're a pretty smart board, and so I think we could, what I'm saying? I mean, I think that would be fair, and I think we need to do that, unless you guys aren't interested, but I think we are.
So what we could do for the next meeting is have Mr. Manning go over the whole process of the debt service, how it came about, why it's there, and then I think Mr. Ferris would be a great person to talk about his perspective on the value of what's happened at the golf course, that it's paid for itself already, and why the debt should be forgiven. So, I guess AJ wants to give the presentation.
Okay. Right. In one of our meetings we had with Mayor Longwell and Mr. Layton at the open meeting, the mayor said debt service means nothing to anybody. It's not hurting anybody, that it's there, whether we're paying it or not. What do you think he meant by that?
But I think,
yeah, I'm just curious, either one of you.
So in regards to...
I'll answer that, I don't think you'd like it.
I'm all for getting rid of debt. That doesn't bother me. I mean, we've been asking for it for years, so why would that not bother me to get rid of it? I'm all for that. That's not a question. I don't have the authority to just snap my fingers and get rid of it. It actually has to come from the council. And the mayor, from his perspective, thinks that's, I think that is correct. It's $5 million annually that we have somewhere in the neighborhood. Mr. Fry, Councilmember Fry, might be able to help me a little bit, but I think we have over $200 million worth of capital projects every year. You know, some of our budget that we're looking at, that on our 10-year capital budget, we're looking at billions of dollars. So $5 million out of that really doesn't hurt anything, especially because we're not having to worry about the interest on it, or there's no payments on it. So forgiveness of that is as simple as a stroke of the pen. It really is. It's not really that difficult to do. And you'll hear that perspective from Mr. Manning as well, but he's relying on those dollars. He has to balance. He's expecting those dollars to come up from a certain way. Until somebody tells him to do that, he is on this path. He is on this directive until somebody tells him otherwise.
Well, I appreciate that. I think the mayor, you know, also looks at it as it's not hurting anything. It's not doing anything today. Today, the golf system is losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, so the chances of that money getting repaid today is slim. So he's saying it's not hurting anything for it to be on there, but the second that the golf fund starts making money, you're gonna then he's gonna get a little bit more interested in getting some of that debt paid back. That's what I say. I mean, I get
it's just floating in.
I get it's just floating today, but as long as that's on our books, the second the golf system starts making money, they're gonna start want
But the
we're first.
The less overhead there is for the golf system, the easier it is for them to operate, be sustainable, and what everybody knows, whether it's a golf course, whether it's a 13-story building, you have to put money back into it. You have to reinvest. You have to keep.
And we're not.
Right.
And even in our current structure, unless we start paying debt service, we're not going to be putting money back in our golf courses.
And we have, but not using enterprise dollars. A good example is we used $1 million for golf carts. We use other capital dollars for renovations to some of the golf courses and repairs. So, I mean, we're working on the golf cart path over at Auburn Hills, and that's not coming from the golf fund. So.
Well, like I said, I mean, I think this board would like to see it. It's a pretty smart board, and I think they'd like to see it and probably have those conversations.
Well, we'll definitely provide that information to you. Again, that's nothing
It's good to know you already got it prepared.
Yeah.
A couple more things to add. On the topic of information, so I love getting the rounds report. I'm a numbers person, and I like seeing all this out in front of me. The actual update to the board, it would be nice to see a little bit more information as far as new things we're working on, whether it's marketing or we're cutting down on stuff for sale in the clubhouse. You know, finding out that McDonald's clubhouse is completely bare just by public comment. I feel like we should know more of that kind of stuff, in addition to just the hard numbers of revenue. And then...
Now, there's particular reasons why we did that. It wasn't just because...
Sure.
I think she understands.
I just want us to be on the same page instead of being caught off guard by other people, and then it looks like none of us are communicating.
Could you have your...
Now that we have a better direction on McDonald Golf Course, my expectation is staff to get all that stuff back in there. And hopefully Mr. Hendricks will make that happen.
Would it be
by
hard...
5 o'clock today.
Would it be too much to ask of your golf pros or whatever you're calling them at each of those golf courses to kind of say their own idea of what's going on at their course and put this in your report, even if they just type up a few sentences saying, hey, my golf course sucks, or hey, my grass is dead, or I'm not getting water, or hey, I have so much stuff in my clubhouse, can you come by something? Do you think they would, I mean, is that too much to ask? It doesn't need to be a long thing. But.
And I'm throwing Eddie under the bus, but maybe he comes to our staff meeting and listens to our staff meetings and and he could come back and present some of that information back to the board.
Well, I mean, he's busy. I don't want to throw that on him. No offense. I mean, I think it'd be an easy, every month you prepare this report, could they not just give us, and have it say what course it was?
Are they doing that already for you, providing you with a monthly report?
No, I guess they would at their staff meeting.
It's more in person when we have those. Superintendents, I see them usually on a weekly basis. For every 2 weeks, they come out, pick up paychecks for golf courses, and they come in, let me know what's going on with their facilities or any updates or anything.
I wouldn't say doing it on a regular basis, but one time, Eddie, if you could come to a staff meeting.
Sure. Yeah, if you can just communicate with me on date and time, and I'll try to make it work. One time would be easy, I think. But moving forward, if I could get a highlight of things, just a bullet point list.
I think that'd be helpful for this board. That's exactly what Tori's asking for. Just this would be easy for them.
Each course give us a couple good, couple bad things, and that's it.
Or just whatever. I mean, I don't want them to feel like they can't say this is BS or whatever, without repercussions. President Trump. All right.
On that same note, and Eddie, I know we've talked about this a little bit this weekend. If some kind of, I don't know, or if we get some kind of better report on the Golf Advisory Committee, I don't feel like we're getting we've been getting the full, I don't know, the full impact of their discussions, or understanding of what's been happening in there, and it just feels like to me that we're getting some like knee-jerk reactions from them, and I just think we need to have a little better communication. I said this weekend, for those that weren't there, the number one thing that'll kill a business is bad communication. Every time you have bad communication, you're taken. I feel like we need better communication with the Golf Advisory Committee.
And on that point, that was the second thing that I was going to ask.
No,
would it be asking too much to send the board's information to the Golf Advisory Committee? And, we've told them we're disappointed with their communication, everything else. Just kind of an extra nudge of look for who your appointee is and reach out to them, introduce yourself, reintroduce yourself. We've kind of kept who's been in there in the past just because, we're relying on their expertise in it. But if they can't also fulfill their job of staying in contact with us, maybe we need to reconsider who we have on the committee.
Well, a couple of things to consider. I think there's a few members that are going to resign or plan to resign or whatnot. So we definitely need to fill those spots. If that is what we really want to use that golf committee meeting for, or that group for. So when they first were developed, it was more in regards to really focusing on customer service, giving a little bit of feedback in regards to greens, as well as some minor operational items in regards to the golf courses. Now they're into major policy decisions. How much do you really want them involved, and what are your expectations from them? I think that's something that we really need to home in on. If it is policy issues, well, I think there's got to be a lot more communication going on. So whenever we've been sending out information, Penny's been sending information out to both the Golf Advisory Committee and to the Park Board. We can definitely send a list of names as to who they're assigned to. We've done that before. I think we've actually presented that at a couple of the Park Board meetings in the past. Again, we've done that, so we can do it again. That's not a hard thing to do. But I think my point on this is some really hard thoughts about what we want the Golf Advisory Committee to do. And I think they need some clear direction from the Park Board to make that happen.
I think that's a great point, Troy. Is there any kind of a mission of or statement of the Golf Advisory Committee? What is their actual role? Is there something official written down that?
Not really. In fact, I think it was the Golf Advisory Committee was set up as a temporary committee, and just like the aquatics master plan was a temporary committee to address some of these things and get feedback. For one reason or another, they stayed very focused and together, and really felt that their role was very large. So
yes.
Yes, I believe the Golf Advisory Committee used to report directly to the city council, and through the city manager and finance, they had access to all of the finance records and all of the stuff, and they could actually understand what was going on. The current structure hasn't in the last several years allowed that. And so that's made a big difference. If you don't know what you're promoting or why you're promoting it, that's going to change your viewpoint. And I think Bill's made a good point. If we're going to get involved in this at some level, some group, whether it's the advisory group or the park board themselves, they need full access to the finances. I don't know that this group, as smart as we claim to be, wants to get that deep into it. It might be better to go back and assign that to the advisory board and seek some very valuable new members. But that's your decision.
So a couple of things I want to add to that is we have given them full access to any kind of financial information. We bent over backwards and gave them every single document that they ever asked for, and then some. We've provided a lot of staff time. So I disagree with you on that, Hoyt, that we really spent a lot of time making sure that they had every single piece of information that they asked for, every resource that they asked for. So I disagree with that. But
well, something simple. I mean, just I can think of a number of things, but something simple. Just the water bill from every club. Something simple like that.
Sure.
That was denied us repeatedly.
Is that true? Did we not? I think we gave them that information.
It used to be available. When I joined the Golf Advisory Group, there were actually some numbers available. That got cut off, and I was told numerous times that I'm sorry, but that information is just not available. We just pay our bill. We don't look at it, and it's not broken down by.
The way the water bill is billed, the water department sends it to the controller's office and the controller's office. It's on the spreadsheet and it's just spread out over the golf system, based on the OCAs. So we don't actually get a water bill like you get at your house.
Right, but you give charge to each golf course. It really doesn't matter because the whole golf system pays for it anyways.
Well, but that's just one example. But it became very difficult to get full information. And
well, I disagree with that. I think if somebody came to ask me for that, I'd make sure that happens. So in here it has the bylaws for the Golf Advisory Committee, the mission of the Golf Advisory Committee as defined by City Council to promote high-quality golf opportunities and provide excellent customer service, maintaining course conditions, and ensuring affordable golf and sustainable on a sustainable basis. In here it says committee members are appointed by or removed by their respective Board of Park Commissioner representatives approved by the Park Board. Also in here it says the committee members shall communicate with their respective Board of Park Commissioner members on a regular basis. So in their bylaws, it definitely says that they're appointed by the park board. In the bylaws, it talks about they need to have communication with their park board representative.
We also developed a specific attendance policy. That was in 2015. It was when Mr. Fry was president, and we needed to have a policy to remove people that weren't coming to meetings and weren't participating. But if you all want copies of their bylaws, I can have those.
I would love a copy of the bylaws.
We'll make
You know,
sure.
there's no, in their bylaws, there's no stated purpose in the bylaws?
Just a mission statement.
Oh, okay, there you go, that's what I was asking
Yeah.
earlier. What is their mission
To
statement?
promote
read it.
high-quality
Oh,
golfing
I missed it.
opportunities,
Okay.
customer service, maintaining course conditions, and ensuring affordable golf on a self-sustaining basis.
Perfect. That's wonderful.
So I
Bill.
think
Thank you.
a few years back ago when there was questions in regards to customer service, how the golf courses were operated. They conducted secret shoppers. There was trainings on how to do better customer service. That's what the focus of the golf committee was about, not necessarily overarching policy decisions, which I think is more so in the realm of the park board for recommendations.
Eddie, you're the liaison, so you're kind of heading that thing up, but I think it would behoove you to kind of maybe go over that again with the Golf Advisory Committee to let them know what their role is. I know, based on some conversations that I've had with several of them, that their belief is that it's far more than that. And I do want recommendations from them, absolutely. I mean, they need to be talking to us and telling us what their thoughts and feelings are. But we even had, and you know, Eddie, you know this, we had one of the Golf Advisory Committee members this weekend that was like, no, I'm appointed by City Council. No, you're not. No, you're not. So I think there's some misunderstandings that are sitting out there.
Yeah, I'll go over it with them.
Do you even know who your appointees are?
I know exactly who my appointee is.
Who's yours?
Greg Ferris.
Who's yours, Eddie? Do you know Tori? Alejo, do you know?
I did at one time. I reached out and emailed them when I first joined the board. And
Oh, yours is Corey.
Yours is Corey.
Yeah.
Corey?
Yeah.
Hey, Corey's your guy.
Yeah.
Do you know who yours is?
I think it's mine, Debbie.
Yours would probably be Debbie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
Mine's Richard's.
Maybe the school.
I bet Alejo's or Ty's is probably Greg first.
I think mine changed this year. I think whoever was mine left and someone else.
So it'd be a good idea if we knew who our appointees were
I
that
know
we
who mine is.
appointed.
As part of our retreat, Park Board, I will remind you, as part of our retreat, we all agreed that we would reach out to our Golf Advisory Committee member.
Hey, my member reaches out to
So-
all of you all the time.
Yeah, he
Just
does.
saying.
He
Just
does.
saying.
So,
I am supposed to communicate.
that was a part of our Park Board retreat. We did decide that we would do that. I know I have, but
All right. Well, did we leave anybody out that wants to talk? Anybody out there? Carson, you guys want to say anything? Anybody? All right. Do you want to talk anymore, or are you good to go?
I make a motion, we punch Troy Palmer right in the arm.
I guess I got one more thing.
Go ahead, Mr. Houtman, please.
So our state conference is at Hutch this year. It's end of January. We actually have 3 members of our staff that are winning awards. Actually, I take that, 2 staff members and 1 council member. She was nominated, Cindy Claycomb, for all of her work, not just as a council member, but also as a park board member. So she's winning an award as well. So pretty excited about that.
Excellent.
That's in January?
That's in January.
Who are the staff members?
We have Daniel Sack, who won the athletic award, and then we have the world's greatest Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Houtman, who won an award from the administrative section branch of KRPA.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's how we're going to end this meeting.
I do have one thing. Could I have a moment at the next meeting, maybe 15 minutes? I've been working with the director of the Arts Partners. They work on using art to teach kids about STEM. And so one of the things that they're working on is reimagining and re-engineering parks and what they look like for kids. So she wanted to present what they were working on to the park board and asked for 15 minutes. So wanted to see if we could get that on the next agenda.
No.
All right.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding, of course. I think it's probably good.
Otherwise, that's all I got.
Anybody else? Hoyt, you got anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Tori? Huh? Oh,
Can I
Tori.
make a motion to adjourn?
I like your motion better than Bill's motion.
Second.
All in favor? Let's go.
Aye.
Thank you.
I wanted to give the comment that you're rather well shaven today. You wouldn't let me.